Greetings, gaming historians, and welcome to Lord of Lore, where we break down the lore and history of our favorite video games and fantasies. Today, I'll be answering all of your questions and suggestions from last week in our very own Q&A. Before I begin, I want to thank everyone who participated in last week's video. You have all brought forth such interesting questions and ideas for me to explore. Now, fair warning, there are spoilers ahead. So without further ado, let's begin. Our first series of questions comes from Luther Salazar 6764. I would love to hear more about Aelin Shear as well as what happened to son Hilda. Did the Fateless One take her or have kids with the ability like the Fateless One? To begin, it is important to remember that both Aelin Shear and the Fateless One's past are almost a complete mystery, but Reckoning's ending shows that they were both part of a secret order dedicated to protecting Amalur, and they alone knew of Tyrnak's true identity as a dragon. Now, most of this is conjecture, but if you watch my video on Who Are the Dragons, you'll hear my theory that Aelin Shear's order is likely dedicated to studying and preparing for the dragons, who are likely the final destruction of each great cycle. Now, as for son Hilda, it's hard to determine in open-world choice-based RPGs what the Fateless One did or if he even married son Hilda. But because the Fateless One got his powers from having already died, thus not having a fate, and getting the fate-stealing powers from Tyrnak, it's unlikely that said power would be genetic. Interesting theory, but unlikely. Finally, Luther Salazar also asked about the elves who helped King Issa, and these elves are none other than the Hironar, fae-like elves that defend the world trees, particularly the history-keeping tree Atiru. You can learn more by looking at my videos like Minor Races of Amalur and What is the Age of Ruin, but I'll likely do another video covering the Hironar soon. Our next series of questions comes from Meow 8860. Question 1. Who's my favorite character in Reckoning? That would easily be Agarth, who to me is not only more interesting than characters like Aelin Shear or Fomor's Hughes, but he also has the best character design, lore, and character development throughout the game. Question 2. What's my favorite side quest? Red in Tooth and Claw definitely deserves a mention just because of how unique it is, but in the end, my favorite side quests come from Teeth of Naros. Not only can you participate in a play and mess up the lines, but you can even argue philosophy with the Colossi and prove your thesis by socking them in the jaw. Question 3. In terms of lore, who do you think is more powerful between Tyrnak and Telogris? This is hard due to relying on conjecture, but there's plenty of in-game context to give us a clue. In Fatesworn, Telogris' avatar and his minions tried to break the tapestry of fate by killing important individuals and preventing their fates. Tyrnak, however, completely rewrote the fates of an entire world even within her magical prison. So while Telogris, the god of chaos, may have more power within his own realm, Tyrnak's altering of cosmic laws in any world seems to paint her even stronger. Question 4. If there's a sequel, where would you like the story to take place in? Honestly, I would like to see the next game take place in the West, particularly in the domain of the Losifar and the MaMe. And as some material from my anonymous source on Project Evergreen seems to imply, this actually was the plan for any Reckoning sequel. This also has to do with question 5, what part of Amalur's history should the next game take place in? Nordenholt and the Valley of Almir would be the perfect place to explore during the Age of Ruin. The chaos of the world, the civil war and political battles between the Almain factions, and the many Jotun slave raids would make such an interesting setting for any new games. The next question comes from the Xbox Bandit, and he asks for a quick recap of Dragon's Dogma. Okay, so in a quick and simple explanation, the Seneschal is a godlike being responsible for creating the world and its denizens, but they always look for someone with strong will to replace them. Arisans who fail to beat the Seneschal become dragons, and it's their duty to find worthy individuals, stealing their heart and encouraging them to grow even stronger in an effort to defeat the dragon. When the Arisen finally arrives, they can choose to either sacrifice their loved one for the fame and power of the world, or they can choose to fight the dragon for a chance to fight the Seneschal. Duke Edmund is one of these Arisans who chose to sacrifice their love. The Dragonforged is someone who fought Grigori to a stalemate and could not win, and pawns are created individuals who have not yet been given a spark of will by the Seneschal. A more in-depth explanation can be found in my video, What is the Dragon's Bargain? Hope that helps. Next is Aidan Ratnage, whose question revolves around the world of Bloodborne. He asked why the Healing Church continues to use old blood when it not only corrupts the citizens of Yharnam, but even the church members themselves. Lore channels like Vadi can likely provide a more in-depth explanation, but I'll do my best to give an easy answer. First, we have to remember that the Old Blood is the blood of the Great Ones, a supernaturally wise and powerful race from long ago that ascended to the heavens, their tombs guarded by the ancient Tumerians. Well, the people who would form the Healing Church not only found old blood in the tombs, but they also found one great one who was seemingly left behind, Ebrietas. Yes, the Healing Church used the old blood to gain power in Yharnam, but their main quest seems to be to gain the mystic knowledge or insight of the Great Ones so they can ascend themselves. Remember, when using the old blood, those who give in to their instincts become beasts, while those who gain insight turn into strange alien creatures. The Healing Church is obsessed with ascending and making Great Ones of their own. And we likely see the results of their experiments in the Celestial Emissary and its brethren in the orphanage, the living failures, etc. The Church uses old blood in their quest for power and forbidden knowledge. Our next question comes from AJ Dove 1823. What are your thoughts on Dragon Age as a series? I'm sorry, but I am not very familiar with the Dragon Age series. I got a hand-me-down copy of Dragon Age Origins when I got my PS3, but I never really liked real-time strategy games, and I ended up only doing one playthrough and never touching the series again. The world and lore definitely seem interesting, but the gameplay is just not my cup of tea. The next question comes from PJ Venom, and he simply asks, what are my 3 favorite video game characters and why? Well, firstly, my favorite video game character will always be my childhood favorite, Spyro the Dragon. Spyro is why I'm into video games and Magic Worlds, and I mean, come on, you get to play as a freaking dragon. My second favorite character would likely be Naked Snake, aka Big Boss. Although I'm not the biggest fan of how convoluted and forced the story of the games have gotten in recent entries, the Snake of MGS3 and Peace Walker is just an amazing character, and he's probably one of the best written morally gray characters in gaming. Finally, I'd have to go with Talion from the Shadow of Mordor series. Not only was he a great character in a great game, but it also contributed to my love for Lord of the Rings, which also contributed to my love for deep fantasy lore. In addition, Mousa Gossam,
It's some form of Elvish. I can't read it.
has recommended that my future content should include an in-depth history of the Losifar and the Varani, but he also asks why some races only have access to certain patron gods, especially since some NPCs worship gods that are not included in their race. My only explanation of this is that it's simply a gameplay mechanic, meant to point to which gods are the most revered by each race. However, it does seem strange that a race of Alfar, who revere magic so highly, cannot choose Lyria as their patron goddess. Perhaps in future games, the patron system will be less restrictive. And that about does it for our questionnaire, but before I go, I would like to make 2 more shoutouts. Firstly, I thank Protestant Samurai 53 for looking forward to my Dragon's Dogma 2 content. Secondly, I've left a link in the description to one of the best Amalur fans ever, Tozeb. He's the one who provided me with much of my Cancelled Copernicus videos, and his channel also contains some cool Project Copernicus and Project Evergreen content, so be sure to leave him a like and subscribe. Once again, I want to thank everybody who participated in today's video, and I am looking forward to making more videos about our favorite video games and fantasies. Be sure to like and subscribe so my channel can grow, and feel free to comment what you would like to see next, new videos regularly. God bless!